All right. Uh, so this is week number 2 of live streaming for me. Last week I did, grab it up here, Melbay's classic guitar method. This is volume 1. This is volume 2 over here, but this is volume 1 that's on the stand. I got up to page 31. That's where I left off. And so I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to play today up to page 38, because that's where it switches to. We're in kind of C major, A minor territory right now, and then on page 39, I believe is where it switches to G major. I'm not going to do that yet. So this is going to be page 32, starting with. So these songs are getting a little more complicated too. So I did spend the week kind of reviewing over them and practicing them. But again, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is A, because I enjoy it, just practicing the pieces, but also to demonstrate just like real practice, not edited videos with, tuning, like, any kind of tuning, like artificial tuning, stuff like that. It's just, this is mistakes and all, work and all, as they say. So, starting with playtime. I was remembering as I was playing that was actually in book The Modern Method for Guitar by Mel Bay. This is written as a duet, so it's kind of an interesting arrangement, a little more challenging to play when you're just playing two parts with one guitar. That's what a lot of these pieces are. So the next one is Balkan Nights, Syn 3/4. Interesting shifting into third position at one point. So again, the challenge is playing two parts. So the thumb is taking care of the bass strings, and fingers are taking care of the melody on the treble strings. So those moments of silence were actually points, not mistakes. They were rest written into the music. Although there were a few mistakes in there as well, which I'm not going to point out at this time because my teacher taught me never point out your mistakes. Make them, move on. So the goal is just continuity, steady beat, right? As much as possible. Okay, next we have melodic minor, A minor scale. So again, I'm using my thumb on the bass strings and my fingers on the treble strings. You can practice this all with your fingers or with a pick. That's just the way I like to do it because I'm working on that muscle memory of my right hand for pieces like the two that I just played. So A melodic minor scale. Repeat that. And then we have raindrops. This is again the treble strings and the thumb handling the bass. So fingers on the treble, thumb on the bass. Interesting. As I was playing this, I recognized that I think the author was trying to simulate the sounds like you might hear if you've ever listened to a like a YouTube video for sleep or something like that, where there's just rainfall in the background. So it's I think he's trying to simulate the sound of rain through the texture of the music. So raindrops. This next tune incorporates first and second endings, repeat dots. This is Cradle Song. This is Johannes Brahms, kind of a famous melody by Brahms. Okay, so that brings me to the right hand. So I've been talking a little bit about this, but this is where I learned a lot of the right hand techniques that carried into when I got to college and I started studying with Jim Day. he was a student of Aaron Shearer, and Shearer really broke down the technique. So at that time, I mentioned like not wanting to stop, right? So at that time, I had a habit of reading things, making mistakes, going back and trying to fix them, and losing the continuity of the piece. So one of the things that I've tried to practice since then is just like, if I'm going to perform this piece, I'm going to play it from beginning to end. Mistakes are just going to be what they are. I'm not trying to fix anything. Then later on, I might go back and play what I call the 5 game, which is where I might take a measure or two or a line of music and repeat that part, that difficult part, over and over again 5 times, just to sort out any technical challenges or reading mistakes that might be in there. But this is technical stuff. So this is a right hand study. It's going to be thumb, index, middle, and then ring, middle and ring, alternating. Really great, because a lot of times fingerstyle guitarists only use 3 fingers, the thumb and the index and middle. So this kind of adds in that ring finger for an added technical challenge. Now for the left hand, finger gymnastics. So this is going to be on the right hand side. I'm sorry, left hand side. First finger, pinky, third finger, pinky, and just repeating that and going across the strings like that. So it sounds something like this. So one of the things I noticed when I was playing that was when I got to the D string. So the treble strings on the nylon string guitar are not wound on a steel string either. But so when my finger slides across the string, there's no noise. But when I got to my D string, I started to notice that sound of the finger kind of sliding across, which is another reason why I like to use my thumb on the bass strings. I don't have that problem with my thumb. It tends to sound fine. So anyway, that's just a side note why I use the technique that I do. Next we have Blue Tail Fly, arranged by Mel Bed. Right, some more right hand studies. So he goes through all the different, a lot of the different combinations. So it's going to be I M, the first one, and then M I, then M A, then A M, then I M A, and then my favorite, A M I. So this right hand study sounds like this. make a mistake, smile and keep going. Italian Air, another Carcassi piece, one of my favorite composers. There's another book, a method book by Carcassi that I play. I like to play some of his pieces. Maybe I'll add some of those in to a live stream at some point in the future. But this is Italian Air by Carcassi. Okay, another kind of counterpoint thing. This is, I don't know if I would really call this counterpoint, a little bit, but probably more like just bass notes. Like a lot of times if I'm playing a wedding or something and a bride wants to hear a certain song when she's walking down the aisle or something like that, and I have just the melody, like I might just have the melody. One thing I'll do is use a loop station, but I can also just play the bass note to the chord and play the melody with my fingers. So that's a nice adaptation that I've learned from learning classic guitar. Here is Classic Dance. All right, next page, we have some more right hand techniques. This is going to be I and M with the bass notes alternating. Oh, I take that back. There's a bunch of different options here. There's 6 different options, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play AMI. So that means ring finger, middle, index. I may have mentioned this before. That's kind of my favorite way to play these. This also reminds me of a Carcassi piece that I have in the other book. So maybe at some point I'll play that. So. All right. Now, some of my favorites from this book. There's 2 pieces on page 37 of this book. One thing they introduce the notes B and D. So you can play B on the open B string, or you can play, and you can play D on that string, but you can't play the two notes together unless you move up and play them here. You can use whatever finger. It depends on the situation, which two fingers I'm going to use. The other thing, I was talking about the 5 game. That's something that I did with this piece this week. The second line has a lot of counterpoint in it, so it was a little challenging. The other thing I will do is before I start something, I'll pre-read. And what that means is I'm actually going to name the notes while I finger them. I'm only going to do the second line. So the second line goes like this: E and C, B, C and C, E, F and A, B, A and C, C sharp, F and D, D and F, B and D, A and C, G and D, A and A, B and D, D sharp, C and E, F, B and E, D, A and C, E, C and A, C, E and B, D, B and G sharp, B, C and A, and then it goes back to normal. So let's see if that helped. So that was Senorita, and this is Sonora. All right. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time discussing the mistakes, but I will say this: it's a good idea before you play. If you're reading music, before you play, look at the time signature, look at the key signature, and then try to this is something I'm reminding myself of as I say this. Try to look ahead so that you're at least like a couple notes or a measure ahead of where your fingers are, so that you don't get. Uh, that's another thing that can cause a lack of continuity is if you get stuck on a note with your eyes, and then the next note or the next measure catches you by surprise. So that's something that I continue to practice. This is Andante by Carulli. It's actually an excerpt from a longer piece. It's just a small part of it, but it's fun to play. So this is the last piece from this book that I'll be playing. Look at the time signature. Look at the key signature. Look at the first measure. So just one thing I wanted to add about this piece. Um, I noticed that the handwriting in the book, so I spent a lot of time in this book when I was in Missouri. I spent some time in Missouri and I didn't have any friends. I moved out there and didn't have any friends. And I was learning from this book. But I also noticed that before I left for Missouri, I went through some of this book with my friend Dave Reed, who's also a classical guitarist and has a great YouTube channel. Check that out if you are interested. Um, so his handwriting is in there, and that last thing that I just played, that's called a mordent, and I know it was Dave because it's in his handwriting. So the last thing I want to play today is actually not in the book. So this going through these songs again and playing these songs this week has inspired me, and I wrote a song. It's got an instrumental part to it and a vocal part, and the instrumental part was kind of inspired by some of the stuff that I just played. So there's reflections of Mel Bay in this. It's called Don't Cry Alone. Not really warming up my voice or anything, so we're going to see how it comes out. But this is Don't Cry Alone. I'll be there when you're happy. I won't be there to make you laugh. I will be there, oh so faithfully through the good times and the bad. If you fall and you can't get up, please not on your own. And you look around and you wonder why every heart turns to stone. Please don't cry. No, don't cry. Please don't cry. Don't cry, Lord. Don't cry, Lord. Don't cry, Lord. No, don't cry, Lord. cry. Please don't cry. Don't cry alone. No, don't cry alone. Don't cry alone. No, don't cry alone. Thanks for listening.